It's day 486. It's also September 3rd, 2020, and we are in Akron, Iowa. You ever wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what am I doing? And more importantly, why? Yeah, me too. Hi, my name's Craig, and this is my story. A story about life. Life out there. For visuals while listening, to watch the video versions of this podcast, or even just to say hey, check us out on our website at lifeoutthere.me. We wrapped up lunch and learning in Craig early in the afternoon. And everything I'd picked up there still rolling around in my head. And Akron? Just 20 miles up the road? Before we knew it, we were settled into our spot at the Akron City Park. A quiet, tree-lined little park on the edge of this town of 1,500. The kind of place that felt perfect for easing into a few of these Midwest dog days of summer. And I've realized something lately, during these last few stops. We've been slowing down. Intentionally. 16 months of travel. Well, that means I've logged more than my fair share of windshield time. And with all those hours behind the wheel, the mind gets space to wander. To sort things out, to reprioritize maybe. As the old Chevy 454 hums down the road, Billie tucked under the driver's seat, Dougie perched half on, half off the motorhome's doghouse, his gaze shifting between the road ahead of us and me. Sometimes he gives in to the sofa just behind us, but never for very long. Always back at his post as co-pilot. And all the while, my mind drifts between where we've been and where we're going. And the truth is, most of the time, we don't know where we're going. And maybe that's why there's so much room left to think. I find myself replaying so many of our 87 stops over those 70 weeks. Wondering if I did it right. Wondering if there even is a right or wrong way. For most of this adventure, it's been go, go, go. Stop, eat, sleep, read a little, write a little, and then go again. But slowing down? I feel like that changes things. Lets you learn more, see more, feel more. Reading about a place online is one thing, but seeing it through the eyes of the people who live there, well, that's something entirely different, I think. And at the same time, realizing all this, in the middle of a global pandemic, well, engaging with folks from 6 feet away and behind a mask, well, that kind of sucks. But we'll see how it goes. Oh, and I gotta say, the RV parks around here, unreal. Water, electric. On-site dump stations. This one, a pool, showers, barbecue pits, picnic areas, even a pavilion with covered seating. All for $10 a night? 10. That's a rare find. Especially after paying 3 times that much across the West Coast earlier this trip. No wonder we became such fans of boondocking. And leveling up, setting camp, well, that took no time. The fridge was stocked, courtesy of the Dollar General just across the street. Just 7 rigs in the park. It's half empty. Plenty of space. Plenty of privacy. We hit the hiking trails along the Big Sioux River, knowing this might be our last stretch of perfect weather before fall sets in around here and we head south. The days are hovering in the upper 70s, sometimes into the 80s, with nights dropping into the mid-50s. A welcome change after the triple-digit heat we'd battled just a few days and a few miles back. Akron's story stretches back to 1862, and like so many river towns, it began with industry, a flour mill powered by a dam on the Big Sioux. Settlers first wanted to call it Portland, but when that name was already taken, they chose Akron, from the Greek akros, meaning high place, a fitting name for a town perched on the rolling plains along the river. In 1880, Akron built its first bridge across the Sioux, linking it to what was then Dakota Territory. But in 1899, a tornado tore through and destroyed it. A steel replacement went up and stood strong for decades, until flooding forced a new bridge upriver in 1962. And by the 1900s, Akron had become a cultural hub. In 1905, locals came together to build the Akron Opera House, a stage for plays, concerts, even basketball games, and boxing matches. That same year, the Akron Milling Company installed the first electric light plant powered by the dam. And in 1915, an $18,000 bond built a new power plant and water system. And that election was historic, the first in Akron where women were allowed to vote. The measure passed, and the old dam was dismantled. And here's something else I learned. Iowa was ahead of the nation on this one. Along with 9 other states, it passed women's suffrage nearly a year before the amendment became law nationwide. Way to go, Iowa. The hardships in Akron, well, they sound familiar, because we've seen them echoed in small towns all across this country. Each stop brings different names, different dates, different tragedies, but always that same thread, the grit, the perseverance, communities that built something from nothing. And when disaster struck, flood, fire, tornado, they didn't wait for the government relief funds, or weather alerts, or outside help at all. They leaned on neighbors, on community, and they rebuilt, sometimes over and over again. I feel like that's what defines small-town America. Not just the hardship, but the response to it. The way people come together to survive and then to thrive. Akron, like so many towns before it, endures. And in that endurance, it tells a story that connects us back to those who came before. And it challenges us to carry on that same spirit. Today, Akron thrives in its own way. The mill and grain elevator still anchor the town's economy. The Big Sioux still draws hikers and campers. Its trails and campgrounds a quiet retreat, just 25 miles from Sioux City and not much farther from Sioux Falls. A sharp contrast to the noise and pace of urban life. To most, Akron might just be another spot on the map. But spend a few days here. You'll find its story, and Iowa's story, because for a state with under 4 million people, it's produced more than a few names that we all know. John Wayne, Ashton Kutcher, Elijah Wood, Shawn Johnson, Grant Wood, and more. From Hollywood to Olympic gold to American art, Iowa's fingerprints are everywhere. On our last evening in Akron, we still hadn't decided where we'd head next. A neighbor asked if we'd been to the Great Lakes, and my mind jumped straight to the ones we all think of, up by Canada, stretching across 7 or 8 states. But he meant something else. Iowa's Great Lakes, the Okoboji. He described it with such excitement. Well, I had to check it out, look it up on a map. And it turned out they're just 100 miles from Akron. Sure, there'll be some backtracking involved, but who cares? Sounds pretty worth it. And I wonder what we'll learn there. This thing called life comes with a lot of rules. Maybe it's time to break a few. Because you can. No, seriously. You can.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.